I called my son, and a voice said, "This number is no longer in service." I called my daughter-in-law. She answered, "Oh, hey, we moved to the city 2 months ago. We totally forgot to tell you." I took a deep breath and hung up. 1 month later, I received a call from their bank. They were collecting a debt. Those words still burn my throat. I can still feel how my fingers trembled while I dialed that number for the 5th time in a row. I thought it was a phone error. I thought that maybe my son Damien had forgotten to pay his bill. I never imagined that the error was me, that I was the burden they needed to erase. If this story is touching your heart, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you do not miss any confessions like this one, because what comes next will leave you speechless. My name is Stella. I am 68 years old, and I have lived alone in Ohio for 5 years, ever since my Robert went to heaven and left me with this silence that weighs more than any furniture in this house. Damien is my only son, my everything. The boy I carried in my arms, whom I nursed through fevers, whom I cheered for at every graduation, the man to whom I gave my entire life and also my money. 3 years ago, Damien arrived at my house with that nervous smile he always used when he needed something. He brought Jasmine, his wife, on his arm. She was smiling too, but differently, with that smile that never reaches the eyes. "Mom," he said to me while drinking coffee at my table, "I have an incredible opportunity. I can open my own auto repair shop. It is my dream, but the bank requires a down payment of $50,000. $50,000, the exact same money that I had saved over 30 years selling fabrics in the business I inherited from my father. Every yard of linen, every roll of cotton, every customer who haggled over pennies, everything was stored in that account." "Mom," Damien continued, "I promise I am going to pay you back. Little by little, but I will return it all, and we are going to come visit you every month. I swear it on my father." He swore on Robert. How was I going to say no? I sold the store. I closed my dad's business, and I handed over all that money, without signing a paper, without asking for guarantees, because he was my son, and a mother does not ask for receipts from her own blood. The first 6 months, they came religiously. Every Sunday, Damien knocked on my door with donuts and told me how the shop was growing. Jasmine stayed in the car checking her phone, but at least they came. Then the visits became spaced out. Once a month, every 2 months, then only quick calls. "Mom, we are busy, but we love you very much." Until one Tuesday in October, I dialed his number as I always did. "The number you have dialed is not in service or is unavailable." I thought it was a joke. I dialed again, the same recording. With sweating hands, I looked for Jasmine's number. She answered on the 4th ring. "Hello. Jazz, it is me, Stella. I cannot reach Damien and—" "Oh, hey." Her voice sounded distant, as if she were doing something else while she spoke. "Yeah, we moved like 2 months ago to the city. With all the chaos of the move, we forgot to tell you. Do you need something?" They forgot, like someone who forgets to buy milk at the grocery store. "And why did you change your numbers?" I asked, trying to control the tremor in my voice. "It is just that local lines are cheaper over there. Listen, I am busy right now. Later I will send you Damien's new number by text, okay?" She hung up. She never sent that message. I remained seated in my living room, staring at the phone as if it were going to explode. The afternoon turned into night. I did not turn on the lights. I just stayed there in the dark, slowly understanding that my $50,000 had bought my own abandonment. I spent a whole month calling the last number I had for Damien. 30 days sending messages to the WhatsApp that kept marking "delivered but never read." 30 nights wondering what I had done wrong. Until one morning in November, my phone rang. It was an unknown number from the city. "Mrs. Stella Miller," said a male professional voice. "Yes, this is she. I am calling from the National Bank. I am Mr. Carson from the Collections Department. Ma'am, we have a problem with the loan for Mr. Damien Miller. You appear as a solidary co-signer on a credit for $20,000. The loan is 3 months overdue, and we need you to contact us urgently to avoid legal action." The floor disappeared beneath my feet. I did not sign as a co-signer for any loan, I whispered. Ma'am, right here. I have your scanned ID and your signature on the contract. Did you sign documents related to Miller Motors? And then I remembered it. A year and a half ago, Damien arrived with papers. They are just business formalities, Mom. The accountant says he needs your signature on these forms. Pure bureaucracy. I signed without reading trusting. My own son had turned me into his collateral without telling me. Ma'am, Mr. Carson continued, if we do not receive payment in the next 30 days, we will be forced to initiate the foreclosure of your assets. Do you understand the situation? I understood perfectly. They were not looking for me to know how I was doing. They were looking for me to collect. And my son had disappeared. But what was it that I found when I decided to go look for them? What I discovered was much worse than what I imagined. Mr. Carson gave me 7 days to present a payment plan. 7 days to get money I did not have. 7 days to save my house from foreclosure for a debt I never knew existed. That night I did not sleep. I stayed in the kitchen with a cup of tea that went cold in my hands while I reviewed every paper I had stored. Bank statements, old receipts, the deed to my house. And there, in a folder that I had barely touched in a year and a half, I found the documents that Damien had given me to sign. I read them completely for the first time. Solidary cosigner contract. It said in big letters. And further down, my signature, my ID, my address. Everything in order. Everything legal. I had signed my own trap without knowing it. It was hard to breathe. I felt as if someone were squeezing my chest with both hands, because it was not just the money, it was the betrayal. It was understanding that my son had used me as a tool, as a useful object to get what he needed. The next day I called the bank again. I asked to speak directly with Mr. Carson. Mrs. Miller. He said to me with that voice that mixed compassion with procedure, I understand your situation, but legally you are responsible for this debt. Mr. Damien Miller stopped paying 3 months ago. First we thought it was a temporary delay, but now his phones are off and he does not answer emails. Emails? I asked. What emails? The ones we sent to the address he gave. Have you not received notifications? He had given them his old address, the one in Ohio. Of course they did not receive anything. They had vanished on purpose. Mr. Carson, how much do I have to pay to avoid the foreclosure? I heard papers moving on the other end. With the accumulated moratorium interest, we would need an immediate payment of $3,000 to freeze the legal process and then agree on monthly payments for the principal debt. $3,000. My entire pension for 3 months put together did not reach that. And if I cannot, I whispered, then we initiate the foreclosure. I am very sorry, ma'am. I hung up the phone and stood staring at the wall of my living room, that wall where the photo of Damien's first communion still hung, his innocent boy smile with his white suit and a candle in his hands. Robert was by his side, proud. What do I do, Robert? I asked the photograph. What do I do with this son we raised? The silence was my only answer. I spent the following days like a sleepwalker. I tried to call Damien 100 times more. I searched on Facebook, on Instagram, on any social network I knew. Nothing. It was as if they had erased themselves from the world. Until my neighbor Becky, who is like my sister, even though we do not share blood, saw me crying on the patio while I was hanging laundry. Stella, what is wrong with you? She approached, drying her hands on her apron. I have seen you looking bad for days. And I told her everything. Every detail, every dollar, every signature, every unanswered call. Becky hugged me while I cried on her shoulder like I had not cried since Robert's funeral. That boy has no forgiveness from God, she murmured, caressing my hair. But you are not going to sit there with your arms crossed, are you? You are not one of those who give up. I do not know what to do anymore. Becky, I do not know. Well, the first thing is to go look for them. to their face. Let them tell you straight up why they did this to you. She was right. I needed to look him in the eyes. I needed to understand. With the $800 I had saved for emergencies, I bought a bus ticket to the city. A 4-hour trip that felt like 4 years. I carried the folder with all the documents with me. The bank statements, the transfers I had made to them. I also carried an old photograph of Damien when he was 5 years old, running in the park with a popsicle melting in his hand. I had kept it in my wallet ever since. I do not know why I took it out during the trip. Maybe to remind myself that once a long time ago, that boy loved me. I arrived in the city at sunset. I rented a room in a cheap motel near the station. The room smelled of mold and disinfectant, but it did not matter. I had not gone on vacation. The next morning, I started my search. I asked at auto repair shops in the industrial zone, "Do you know Miller Motors?" Nobody knew anything. I walked until my knees hurt. I spent money on taxis that I should not have spent. I was about to give up when I passed by the convenience store near the old building where they used to live. The owner, Mrs. Connie, recognized me. "Mrs. Stella, what are you doing around here?" "I am looking for my son. Would you know where they moved?" Connie lowered her voice as if she were going to share a dangerous secret. "Look, I should not get involved, but you were always good to me. I heard Jasmine showing off to another neighbor before leaving. She said they were moving to Silver Lake to a house in a gated community. I saw that she debuted a black BMW SUV, one of those that cost a fortune. I saw it because she parked right here in front to say goodbye. BMW gated community. Silver Lake. While I feared losing my house for their debt, they were living in luxury. Something broke inside me in that moment. It was not my heart. That was already broken. It was something deeper. It was the last thread of excuse that I was still weaving to justify them. I took a taxi to Silver Lake. "To the gated communities," I told the driver. "Which one? There are several in that area." "The most expensive one." The driver looked at me through the rearview mirror, but he did not ask any more. And when I finally arrived at that house, when I knocked on that door the way my daughter-in-law received me, made me understand that I was no longer her mother-in-law. I was her nuisance. The community was called Blue Haven Estates, a pretty name to hide ugly stories. The security booth had more security than a bank. The guard stopped me at the entrance. "Which house are you going to, ma'am?" I did not know the number. I did not even know the street. "I am looking for the Miller family, my son and his wife. He has an auto shop." The guard checked his list on the computer. Full name, Damien Miller. He typed. He frowned. He typed again. "Nobody appears with that name registered." Of course not. They had put the house in Jasmine's name, or some company or anything that kept them hidden. "Ma'am, if you do not have the exact house number, I cannot let you pass. Those are the community rules." I stood there with the midday sun burning my head, feeling smaller than ever. A foolish old woman looking for her son among houses that cost millions. "Do they have a black BMW SUV?" I asked suddenly. "My son's wife has one." The guard sighed. He should not give me information, but something in my face must have given him pity. "There are 3 families with black BMWs here. One on Maple Drive, number 47, another on Ash Street, number 132, and another on Cedar Lane, number 89. I memorized the addresses as if my life depended on it. "Thank you," I whispered. "Hey, lady," he called out as I walked away. "If they are not expecting you, they are not going to let you in. The rules are strict. Call them first." But they did not answer my calls. I waited in a nearby park for 2 hours, sitting on a bench, watching young moms pass by with expensive strollers and children in private school uniforms. This was Damien's world now, a world where I did not fit. When the sun began to go down, I returned to the booth. Another guard was on shift. "I'm going to my son's house," I said with more firmness. "Maple Drive, number 47. He checked his list. "Are they expecting you?" "Yes," I lied. For the first time in my life, I lied to enter my own son's life. He let me pass. I walked through those perfect streets with their manicured lawns and luxury cars parked. Every house was bigger than my entire house back home. I found Maple Drive. I counted the numbers, 45, 46, 47, and there it was. A 2-story house, modern facade, huge windows, and in the driveway, shining under the sun, a black BMW with new license plates. My heart was beating so hard I thought I would have a heart attack right there on my son's sidewalk. I walked toward the door. I rang the bell. I heard footsteps on the other side. The door opened. It was Jasmine. She was wearing designer sportswear. The kind you see in the windows of stores where I never entered, because everything cost what I earned in a month. She had her hair up in a perfect ponytail, flawless makeup nails freshly done. She looked me up and down as if she were evaluating how much dirt I had brought from the outside world onto her clean carpet. Stella. It was not a loving greeting. It was a declaration of annoyance. "What are you doing here?" "I need to speak with Damien," I said, trying to sound calm. "He did not say you were coming. Why didn't you give me his new number? Because you disappeared." Jasmine sighed as if I were a persistent door-to-door salesman. "Look, Stella, we are just really busy. Damien has an online meeting with some clients. Couldn't you call before—" I tried, 100 times. We stood looking at each other. She was blocking the entrance with her body. I was clutching my purse where I carried all the bank documents. "It is about the loan," I finally said. "The bank is collecting from me. They are going to foreclose on my house, if not—" "Damien!" she shouted toward the inside without letting me finish. "Your mom is here." I heard movement, and then I saw him. My son was coming down the stairs in an expensive dress shirt, designer jean shoes that cost more than my monthly rent. He had grown a beard. He looked older, prosperous. When he saw me, his expression was not one of joy. It was panic. "Mom, what are you doing here?" That question hurt me more than any physical blow. "What am I doing here, Damien? The bank is suing me. I signed as a co-signer for your loan without knowing, and I know." He interrupted me, lowering his voice, looking nervously to the sides as if the neighbors could listen. "It has been complicated, Mom. With the move, with opening the new shop, the expenses." Expenses. I looked at the house. I looked at the SUV. I looked at his clothes. "I see you have many expenses." Jasmine crossed her arms. "It is not as easy as it looks, Stella. Maintaining a business requires investment. Sometimes you have to sacrifice things to grow. Sacrifice like sacrificing your mother-in-law by throwing her to the bank's wolves. They need a payment of $3,000 this week, or they take my house," I said, looking directly at Damien. "The house where you grew up, where your father died, where I kept all your memories." Damien avoided my gaze. "Mom, I do not have that amount right now, but I can give you, I don't know, $1,000 for next week. Does that sound good?" $1,000 when I had given him $50,000 without thinking twice. And the rest, "We will gather it, I swear. Just give me time." He had sworn to me before, on his father, and here we were. Jasmine went into the house and came back with an envelope. "Here is $200 in cash. It is what we have right now," she said, extending it to me. "We will deposit the other $800 during the week." I took the envelope. $200. It was not even a tip for them. "Thanks for coming to visit us, Stella. Let us know next time, okay?" Jasmine was already closing the door. Damien looked at me one last time. I saw something in his eyes that split my soul. It was not guilt. It was relief that I was leaving. "Take care, Mom." The door closed. I remained standing there in the driveway of that house that my money had helped pay for, with $200 in my hand and $50,000 of debt in my heart. But what I discovered when I returned home was even more heartbreaking. My son had not only forgotten me, he had erased me from his life like someone erasing a mistake. The trip back to Ohio was the longest of my life. 4 hours looking out the bus window, watching landscapes pass by that my brain did not register. I could only see one thing, my son's face closing that door. The $200 they gave me, I used to pay for the motel and the bus. I had $20 left in my pocket when I arrived at my house that night. Becky was waiting for me with hot chicken soup. "How did it go?" she asked, although my face already gave her the answer. "They received me as if I were a beggar knocking on their door," I said while the tears finally came out. "As if I were a burden to them, as if my presence dirtied their new carpet." Becky hugged me while I ate between sobs. "That boy is going to regret it," she murmured. "I swear to you by the holy God that he is going to regret it." But I did not want revenge. I just wanted my son back. The $800 promised never arrived. The week passed. Another passed. Every time I dialed the number that Jasmine had finally given me after begging her, it rang busy or went to voicemail. The bank called every day. "Mrs. Miller, we need to talk about the payment plan." "Mrs. Miller, time is running out." "Mrs. Miller, if we do not receive payment this week, we will proceed with legal action." I could not sleep. I could not eat. I lost so much weight that my clothes hung on me like rags on a scarecrow. One night after another call from the bank, where they told me I needed to pay $3,000 before Friday or the foreclosure would begin, I did something I had never done. I took out all the savings I had left from my pension. I went to the bank. I paid $3,000 that were supposed to be for my heart medication, for my doctor's appointment next month, for any emergency. All of it went to pay a debt that was not even mine. The executive handed me the receipt. "With this, we stop the foreclosure, ma'am. But remember that you must keep paying the rest of the debt monthly. It is $18,000 more in payments of $600 every month for 3 years. $600 monthly. My entire pension was $400. How am I going to pay that?" I whispered. The executive looked at me with that useless compassion of someone who knows he cannot help. "Do you have family who can support you?" I let out a bitter laugh that surprised myself. "My family is the problem." That same afternoon, Becky came over with her phone in her hand. "Stella, sit down. I need to show you something." "Becky, I am tired." "No. Sit down." I sat down. Becky opened Facebook. Her daughter had taught her how to use it last year, and now she spent hours looking at recipes and photos of her grandkids. "My daughter helped me look for your daughter-in-law. We found her profile." She showed me the screen. It was Jasmine. Her profile picture showed the black BMW. She was wearing dark sunglasses, smiling. She started scrolling through the posts one by one. Photos in elegant restaurants. Dishes that cost what I spent on food for the whole week. Photos at the beach. Weekend in Miami. Well-deserved. #living the life. Photos of the house. Our new living room. Italian furniture. #dreams. #home sweet home. Photos of shopping. Bags from luxury stores. Because a girl has to spoil herself. #self-care. And then Becky stopped on a specific post. It was a photo of Jasmine in front of the BMW. The text said, "When you work hard and push yourself, life rewards you. Thanks to my effort and determination, we achieved all this. For those who say success is inherited, no. Success is built with your own sweat. #self-made, #no help from anyone, #hard work, #girl boss. No help from anyone." I read those words 5 times, 10 times, until they stopped being letters and turned into daggers. My effort, my sweat. The $50,000 I took from 30 years of selling fabrics did not exist for her. I did not exist for her. "Is there more?" I said with a tense jaw. We kept going down the profile. There was a post from 2 months ago. "Toxic family exists. Sometimes you have to distance yourself from people who only want to take advantage of you, even if they are family. My life improved when I set limits. #toxic-free, #bye-bye, #boundaries, #mental health." I stared at that post without blinking. I was the toxic family. I who gave them everything. I who was paying their debt with my last savings. I was the one taking advantage. Something broke inside me in that moment. It was not pain. I had already felt pain 1,000 times. It was something different. It was clarity. I saw with absolute sharpness what I had been too blind to see. My son had used me like an ATM. When the ATM no longer had money to give, he simply looked for another bank. "Becky," I said with a voice I did not recognize as mine, "I need your son, the lawyer, to come see me. Harry, yes, tell him to come tomorrow and to bring everything he knows about debts, co-signers, and foreclosures." Becky looked at me with a mix of surprise and pride. "Now, Stella, now I recognize you." That night, I did not cry. For the first time in weeks, I did not cry. I stayed awake until 3 in the morning, searching on the internet for everything I could about co-signer laws. Becky had taught me to use Google last year, but I had never used it for anything important. That night, it became my best friend. I read about the rights of co-signers, about the responsibilities of principal debtors, about what happens when the principal debtor disappears, and I found something that made my heart beat faster. The co-signer who pays the debt of the principal debtor can claim everything the debtor owns as a form of payment. Everything, including his shop. But what I discovered later was even worse. My son had not just used me, he had erased me from his life long before moving, and the proofs were waiting for me in a place where I had never looked. Harry arrived the next day at 10 in the morning. He was a 35-year-old man, serious but kind, with a lawyer's briefcase. And that way of speaking clearly, that makes you feel that finally someone understands you. I sat across from him at my kitchen table, the same one where Damien had asked me for the $50,000 3 years ago. "Mrs. Stella." Harry began taking out a notebook. "My mother told me everything. I need you to show me every document you have. Transfers, contracts, messages, everything." I gave him everything. The complete folder I had kept for years. The bank statements where the transfers to Damien were visible. The papers where I signed as a co-signer without knowing. The bank receipts for the $3,000 I had just paid. Harry reviewed every paper, carefully taking notes, frowning. After half an hour, he looked up. "Mrs. Stella, I have good news and bad news. Tell me the bad first. Legally, you are responsible for this debt. You signed as a solidary co-signer, which means that you and your son are equally responsible to the bank. If he does not pay, they collect from you. You already know that." I nodded. "But the good news," he continued, "is several things. First, you can sue your son for fraud if you demonstrate that they deceived you into signing. Second, you can demand that he pay you every dollar you have put in. And third, and this is important, if you are paying the debt that he contracted, you can claim everything your son owns as a form of payment." "Everything?" "Everything, including the auto shop. If the shop is in his name or the company he formed, and you can demonstrate that your money helped buy it, you can seize that shop as payment for what he owes you." My heart beat stronger. "How much is an auto shop worth?" "Depends on the location, the equipment, the clientele, but if it is well positioned, it could be worth between $80,000 and $150,000. More than what he owed me." "And the house where they live?" Harry shook his head. "If the house is in your daughter-in-law's name or rented, we could not touch it. But the shop, that is different. Businesses are assets that can be seized." I remained silent, processing. "What do you recommend I do?" Harry closed his notebook. "Honestly, Mrs. Stella, my legal recommendation is different from my human recommendation. Legally, you should sue right now, but humanly, he is your son. I would tell you to try one last time to speak with him. Let him know the legal consequences. Give him a chance to pay before proceeding." I already tried to speak with him. He slammed the door in my face. "Then try it in writing. A clear message with a copy of these documents. Let there be a record that you gave him a chance. And if he does not respond or refuses, then yes, proceed with everything. Harry was right. I needed to try one more time, but this time not as a pleading mother. This time as a woman who knew her rights. That afternoon, with the help of Becky and her daughter Lucy, who knew how to use WhatsApp better than anyone, I drafted a message. Damien, I paid $3,000 to the bank to stop the foreclosure of my house, a house that would have been yours someday. I'm asking you for the last time to pay the debt that you contracted. I have a legal right to recover every dollar I have put in, including the $50,000 I lent you. If I do not receive an answer in 5 days, I will proceed legally. I do not want to do this, but I am not going to lose my house for your irresponsibility. Your mother. Lucy pressed send. The message was marked as delivered within 2 seconds. We waited. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Delivered changed to read. And then nothing. There was no answer. A day passed. 2 days. 3 days. The message was still there. Read, ignored. On the 4th day, I got a message. But not from Damien. It was from an unknown number. It said, Mrs. Stella, I am Jasmine's cousin. My cousin asked me to tell you to please stop harassing her family. They are going through strong financial problems, and your pressures only make things worse. My cousin says that you should have known what you were getting into when you signed those papers. Nobody forced you. Please do not look for them anymore. I read that message 5 times. Nobody forced me. They were right. Nobody put a gun to my head to sign. They only used something much more effective, my mother's love. I showed the message to Harry. Perfect, he said. This message is gold. They are admitting that they know about the debt and that they refuse to pay. Also, using third parties to threaten you can be considered harassment. Do you want to proceed? I looked at Robert's photo in the living room, that photo where he was smiling with baby Damien in his arms. Robert, I whispered, forgive me. And I told Harry, proceed. But before Harry started the legal paperwork, something inside me told me to investigate more. If they were going to fight dirty, I needed to know everything. That night, Lucy showed me something that changed the game completely. Mrs. Stella, does your son have an email? Yes, but I never use it. But do you have an email? Yes, one that Damien helped me open years ago, but I do not even know the password. Lucy smiled. We are going to recover it. She helped me enter my email using my phone number to recover the password. When we finally opened the inbox, I froze. There were 127 unread emails. Lucy started opening them one by one, and there it was, everything. Emails from Damien from the previous year, 8 different emails. Mom, I need you to lend me another $10,000 to expand the business. Mom, did you get my previous email? It is urgent. Mom, the bank approved a line of credit, but I need to complete the down payment. Can you help me? Mom, why don't you answer? I have called you 3 times. Mom, I spoke with Becky and she says you are fine. Then why do you ignore me? Mom, I understood. If you do not want to support me, just say it. Mom, I think it is better to give ourselves some time. It hurts me that you turn your back on me just when I need you most. Mom, Jasmine is right. One knows who is there when it really matters. The dates were there, all sent between May and August of last year. I never saw them. I never knew they existed. For me, my son had stopped calling me suddenly, but for him, I had ignored him when he needed me most. Oh God, I whispered. He thinks I turned my back on him. But there was more. In the sent folder, I found emails that I never wrote. Emails from my account sent to Damien. I opened them with trembling hands. Damien, I helped you enough. I do not plan to give you any more money. Do not look for me anymore. I need my space. Your wife is right to take care of her assets. You should do the same. I never wrote those emails. Someone entered my account, I said with a broken voice. Lucy reviewed the login history. Look, Mrs. Stella, here it says that your account was accessed from the city from your house's IP, but on dates, when you did not even know how to use email? There was only one person who had my password, Damien. He himself had helped me create the account. He had total access. My son had sent those emails pretending to be me, to have an excuse to distance himself, to justify to his wife why we stopped speaking. Jasmine probably never knew the whole truth. Damien had shown her those fake emails and had told her, "See, my mom rejected me. She turned her back on me." And then I understood everything. My son had not forgotten me by accident. He had erased me intentionally. He had built me up as a villain in his own story, so as not to feel guilty. And when I discovered why he did all this, when I understood the true motive behind every lie, everything made sense in the most painful way. I did not sleep all night. I stayed in front of the computer that Lucy had left on, reading those fake emails that Damien sent from my account again and again. Every word was a different stab wound, because he had not only used me, he had not only robbed me, he had destroyed my own reputation, my own voice to justify his betrayal. At 6 a.m, Becky knocked on my door with hot coffee. "You didn't sleep," she said. It was not a question. I couldn't. She sat by my side and we read everything again together. When we finished, Becky had tears in her eyes. "That boy is lost, Stella. He is no longer your son. I do not know what happened to him, but the child you raised does not exist anymore." She was right. The Damien I knew, the one who cried when he saw stray dogs, the one who brought me flowers every Mother's Day, that boy died in some moment I did not see coming. Harry arrived at noon. I showed him the fake emails. "This is identity theft," he said immediately. "It is an additional crime. Mrs. Stella, with this, we can make a much stronger lawsuit." "I do not want to sue him for the emails," I said, tired. "I just want my money back. I just want him to pay what he owes." "Then we will use this as evidence that he manipulated you deliberately. It strengthens your case." We spent the whole afternoon preparing documents. Harry drafted a formal lawsuit for one recovery of the $50,000 loan, 2 payment of the remaining bank debt, where I was co-signer, $15,000 remaining, 3 damages for fraud, 4 preventive seizure of the auto shop Miller Motors. "How long will this take?" I asked. "If he does not show up to the hearings or does not answer the lawsuit, we can have a sentence in 3 months. If he fights, it can take 6 months to a year. 1 more year of agony. And if he pays the total debt before there is a sentence, everything stops." "Then let's give him one last chance. Just one more." Harry looked at me with that mix of admiration and sadness that lawyers have when they know their client is being too good. "Mrs. Stella, he already had many chances." "I know, but I need to look at myself in the mirror after this. I need to know that I did everything possible." That afternoon, I called Damien from Becky's phone, a number he did not know. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello. Damien, it is your mom." Silence on the other end, then a sigh. "Mom, did I not already tell you that?" "I found the emails." I interrupted him. My voice was firm without tears. "The fake emails you sent from my account. The ones you wrote pretending to be me." More silence. Long. Heavy. "I do not know what you are talking about," he finally said. "Damien, I have the dates. I have the login history. I know it was you." "Mom, You do not understand. Jasmine was pressuring me. She said that you only wanted to control us, that you cared more about your money than my happiness. I needed to show her that I had tried and you rejected me." There was the confession. "So you turned me into the villain of your marriage." "No, I just needed space. I needed her to see that I had set boundaries with you." "Boundaries, Damien, I gave you $50,000 without asking you for anything in return. What boundaries did you need to set?" "Mom, it is already in the past. We cannot change the past, but we can fix the present." "The bank sued me. I paid $3,000 from my pension to save my house." "Your house. The house where your father is buried." Mom, I do not have that money right now. You do not have it, or you do not want to. I do not have it. His voice rose in tone. Do you think living here is cheap? Do you think maintaining the image, the shop, the SUV, everything is free? Jasmine needs certain things to be happy. If I do not give them to her, she leaves me. She almost left me twice already. And there was the complete truth. My son had sold his mother to buy his wife's love. So you are happy, I said with an empty voice. You have your elegant house, your expensive SUV, your happy wife. Only your mother is paying your debts and losing her house. Mom, give me time. I swear that when the business takes off, there is no more time, Damien. Harry is going to present a lawsuit tomorrow. Seizure of the shop. Recovery of everything I lent you. Everything legal. Everything fair. Harry Becky's son. You hired him. Yes. Mom, you cannot do this to me. It is my shop. It is my future. It was my money. It was my future, too. The future I spent on you. Jasmine is going to kill me. She is going to leave me. Everything I have worked for is going to go to the trash. And what about me, Damien? What would happen to me if I lose my house? Where would I live on the street? Silence. Long. Heavy. Mom, you have a pension. You can rent something small, but I have a wife. I have responsibilities. In that moment, something died inside me. It was not love. A mother's love never dies completely. It was hope. The hope that my son still had some conscience. I understand, I said with absolute calm. Now I understand perfectly. Thank you for being so clear. Mom, wait. I hung up. Becky hugged me while the tears finally came out. But they were not tears of sadness. They were of liberation. You can proceed now, I told Harry, without mercy, without concessions. I want everything the law allows me to recover. Harry nodded. Understood. Vath. But before we could continue, Becky raised her phone. Stella, look at this. Your daughter-in-law just posted it. It was a new Facebook post from Jasmine, a photo of her and Damien in an elegant restaurant toasting with wine. The text said, when we eliminate negative energies from our life, everything flows better. Today we celebrate our freedom from toxic people who only seek to drag us into their misery. Life is too short to carry people who steal your peace. Hashtag new beginnings. Hashtag positive vibes only. Hashtag toxic free. Hashtag family first. The post had 47 likes. One of the people who had liked it was Damien. My son publicly celebrated having eliminated me from his life. I looked at that post for a long time, and then I did something that surprised myself. I smiled. Stella. Becky looked at me worried. I am fine, I said, and it is true. For the first time in months, I am perfectly fine, because I no longer have to carry the illusion that they will change. I no longer have to wait for anything. I took off a chain I always wore around my neck. It was a small medal of the Virgin of Guadalupe that Robert had given me when Damien was born. Inside, it had a photo of baby Damien. I opened it. I took out the photo. I looked at it one last time. Goodbye, my boy, I whispered, because the man you became, that one, I do not know. I put the empty medal away, and I told Harry, now yes, I want it to hurt him as much as it hurt me. What I did not know was that the pain was just beginning, but this time it would not be mine. The lawsuit was presented on a Tuesday in February. Harry delivered all the documents to the civil court in Ohio and requested preventive seizure of the shop located in the city. They can take a week to notify them, he explained. When they receive the summons, they will have 20 days to answer or show up to court. That week was strange. I felt as if I were floating. Not sad, not happy, simply empty. Every morning I got up, made my coffee, looked at Robert's photo in the living room. Did I do right? I asked him. Robert did not answer, of course, but I imagined his voice in my head. Stella never let anyone trample on your worth, not even your own blood. It was something he told me 3 months before he passed away. We were at the hospital, him connected to machines, me holding his hand. "Promise me you are going to defend yourself," he had said with a weak voice. "You are very noble, Stella, too noble, and people use that against you. Nobody uses me, Robert, not yet, but when I am gone, promise me you will not let anyone make you feel like less." I promised him, and now 5 years later, I was keeping that promise. 10 days passed. I continued my normal routine. I went to the grocery store. I cooked. I watched soap operas with Rhonda. I watered my plants. But every night I sat in front of the computer and searched for information. I searched for mechanic shops in the city. I found Damien's shop on Google Maps. It had good reviews, excellent service, honest and fast, highly recommended. How ironic, honest with his clients, a thief to his mother. I searched for property values in that area. The shop was in a prime location near a main avenue. According to the estimates, I found a commercial property with those characteristics was worth between $400,000 and $500,000, more than enough to cover everything he owed me. I also found something else. The shop was not directly in Damien's name. It was under a company name, Ram Motors, LLC. I searched for the tax ID of that company in the public business registry. Damien was listed as the legal representative and majority shareholder. It was seizable. Harrison was right. I could get my money back. But something inside me still hurt. Not for the money, but for what the money represented. My son consciously choosing to destroy me. One night, 2 weeks after filing the lawsuit, I had a moment of weakness. I took out the old photo album I kept in the closet. Photos of Damien from when he was a baby up to his wedding. Damien at 2 years old with his first tricycle. Damien at 6, missing his front teeth, smiling. Damien at 15 with his first summer job. Damien at 25 on his wedding day, hugging me. "Thanks for everything, Mom. You are my hero." I fell asleep crying over that album, and I had a dream. Robert was there young again, like when we first met. He took my hands. "Stella, why are you crying?" "Because I lost my son." "No, my love, he lost himself. You are still the same woman." "But it hurts, Robert. It hurts so much." "I know. But the pain is proof that you are human, that you truly loved. Do not let that pain make you doubt yourself. You are doing the right thing." I woke up at 3 a.m. with those words echoing in my head. You are doing the right thing. The next day, a certified letter arrived. Proof of service, the stamp said. I opened it with trembling hands. Damien and Jasmine had been notified. The summons was delivered to the address of the shop. Damien signed for it. Now he knew. Now he had to decide whether to answer the lawsuit or ignore it. If he ignored it, I would win automatically. If he answered, we would have to see each other in court. 3 days passed, and then my phone rang. It was a text message from Damien from the new number he had never wanted to give me. "Mom, we need to talk, urgent." I did not answer. 5 minutes later. "Mom, please. This is serious. You cannot seize my shop. It is my livelihood." I continued not to answer. 10 minutes later. "Mom, answer. I am asking you, please." And then came the call. I let it ring once, twice, 5 times. On the 6th call, I answered. Stella Robinson speaking. I said it with a formal voice as if speaking to a stranger. "Mom, thank God." "Look, I just received a notification from the court. This has to be a mistake, right?" "It is not a mistake." "Mom, you cannot be serious. You are going to take my shop, the business I have worked on for 3 years, the business I bought with $200,000. It was a loan. You were going to pay me back." "When, Damien, in what year? Because until now I have only received $500, and meanwhile I paid $15,000 of your bank debt." "Mom, please. We can fix this without lawyers, without trials. We are family." "Ah, now we are family. When you get notified of the lawsuit, now I am family. You have always been my family. I never said otherwise. Damien, I read the fake emails. I read Jasmine's posts celebrating having eliminated me. I saw the like you gave them. I know exactly what I am to you. Silence on the other end. That was Jasmine. I did not think those things. But you supported them. With your silence, with your like, with every decision you made. Mom, listen. I spoke with Jasmine. She is willing to have us pay you something. How does $10,000 sound? It is what we can scrape together right now. $10,000 out of more than $300,000 that you owe me. No. No, Mom, we are making an effort. I do not want $10,000. I want everything. $200,000 from the loan, $75,000 from the bank debt, plus damages, everything. That is almost $300,000. I do not have it. But you have a shop that is worth $500,000. Sell it, pay me, and we are even. Sell my shop, Mom, it is my life. What am I going to do without the shop? I do not know, Damien. Maybe the same thing I was going to do if I lost my house. Start from zero. But at least you are young. I am 68 years old. Mom, you have until the date of the hearing to get the money. If you pay me before, then I will withdraw the lawsuit. If not, let the judge decide. Mom, do not do this. I am begging you. You are begging me. Now you beg me. My voice broke for the first time. I begged you to answer my calls. I begged you to explain why you disappeared. I begged you to pay even a little bit of the debt. And what did you do? You blocked me, you humiliated me, and you celebrated eliminating me from your life. I'm sorry. His voice sounded small. I am so sorry, Mom. I am sorry too, Damien. I feel like I lost the son I raised, because that good boy I knew does not exist anymore. I hung up, and this time I did not cry. I sat in my rocking chair, the one Robert had made with his own hands when I was pregnant with Damien, and I rocked slowly. I felt something new. It was not pain. It was not rage. It was peace. The peace of someone who finally stopped carrying a weight that was never hers. But Damien and Jasmine would not stay quiet. And what they planned to stop me was so low that it ended up being their own sentence. The following days were strangely silent. Damien did not call again. There were no messages. Nothing. I do not like that, Harrison said when I told him. When someone stops fighting suddenly, it means they are preparing something. Like what? I do not know, but stay alert. Keep all your important documents in a safe place. I followed his advice. I put all my papers in a metal box that I stored at Rhonda's house. Copies of everything, just in case. 3 days before the hearing, I received an unexpected visit. It was 4 p.m. They knocked on my door. I opened it. It was a woman I did not know. 40-something years old, dressed in a tailored suit, briefcase in hand. Mrs. Stella Robinson. Yes, that is me. My name is Lucy Mendez. I am a social worker from Adult Protective Services. Can I come in? I need to ask you some questions. Adult Protective Services. A bad feeling ran down my spine. What is this about? We received an anonymous report that you are living in at-risk conditions. Someone reported that you might need support, or even that you might be in a situation of mental vulnerability. I froze. Mental vulnerability. The report mentions that you suffer episodes of confusion, that you have been harassing family members asking for money, and that you might be a victim of some type of cognitive decline. I just came to verify that you are okay. Damien, or Jasmine. Someone had reported me as senile. Come in, I said, with a tense jaw. Check everything you want. Lucy entered and started asking questions. Did I know what day it was? Did I know where I lived? Did I remember my date of birth? Did I have family? Why was I alone? I answered everything with absolute clarity. She checked my house, my clean kitchen, my tidy bathroom, my spotless living room, my medications organized by day of the week. Mrs. Robinson, she said finally, it is clear that you are perfectly fine. There is no indication of cognitive decline or at-risk conditions. I know. Do you have any idea who could have made this report? My son or my daughter-in-law. I am suing them for fraud and debts. I suppose this is their way of defending themselves. Lucy pressed her lips together. I understand. Unfortunately, false reports are more common than you think, especially in cases of family disputes. I am going to close the file as unfounded. If they bother you again, you can report it as harassment. Thank you. When Lucy left, I called Harrison immediately. They tried to have me declared incompetent, I said with a voice trembling with rage, to invalidate the lawsuit. Sons of a... Harrison held back. Miss Stella, this is serious, but it is also perfect because now we have evidence of bad faith. They are going to look very bad in front of the judge. That night I could not sleep from pure indignation. It was not the money. It was no longer about the money. It was that my own son tried to pass me off as crazy to escape his responsibilities. But then, something unexpected happened. The next day, early in the morning, they knocked on my door again. This time, it was an older man, 60-something gray hair, wearing mechanic coveralls. Mrs. Robinson. Yes. Excuse the bother. My name is Ernest Vega. Well, I was a partner of your son at the shop. Damien never told me about you, did he? No. Ernest sighed. Can I come in? I think there are things you need to know. I let him in. He sat in my living room, nervously twisting a cap between his hands. Ma'am, when Damien opened the shop 3 years ago, I put in $80,000. He put in the rest. We were going to be 50-50 partners. I worked in that shop from day one. But 6 months ago, Damien told me the business was not making enough money that we had to close out my share. He pressured me to sign some papers giving up my part. He promised to return my $80,000 in monthly payments, and he never paid me, not a dollar. And I discovered why. The shop is prospering, it has good income. Damien lied to me to keep everything. I filed a lawsuit 3 months ago. I stayed silent, processing. Why are you telling me this? Because I found out about your lawsuit. An acquaintance who works at the courthouse mentioned it to me, and I thought maybe we can help each other. If you win the seizure of the shop, I lose my opportunity to get my money back. But if we work together, what do you propose? That we join the lawsuits. Between you and me, Damien owes us more than $300,000. If we achieve a joint seizure, we can liquidate the shop, divide the money according to what he owes each of us, and we both recover what is ours. I looked at that man. I saw in his eyes the same exhaustion, the same betrayal that I felt. Did Damien make you sign as a co-signer for any loan without you knowing? No, but he made me sign partnership dissolution documents under deceit. It is still fraud. He was right. Talk to my lawyer. I gave him Harrison's number. He will see how to proceed. Ernest left with a mix of hope and sadness, and I was left thinking, how many more people had my son betrayed Harrison called that afternoon? Ms. Stella, I spoke with Mr. Vega. His case is solid. If we join forces, the lawsuit is unbeatable. Damien is going to lose the shop no matter what. Is that legal? Totally. You are two different creditors claiming legitimate debts. The judge is going to order the liquidation of the main asset, which is the shop, and the money gets distributed between the creditors according to what is owed to them. And Damien is left with nothing, and even then it probably will not be enough to cover everything. He would have to pay the rest with other assets or with monthly payments for years. For the first time in weeks, I smiled, not from happiness, from justice. Proceed. The hearing was scheduled for Friday at 10 in the morning. Harrison picked me up early. I wore my best dress, that navy blue one I used for important occasions. Robert always said that dress made me look strong. I needed to look strong. We arrived at the courthouse. It was an old building downtown with cold hallways and the smell of old paper. In the waiting room, I saw Ernest. He greeted me with a nod. And then I saw them arrive. Damien and Jasmine. He was wearing a suit, she an elegant dress and heels. They came with their own lawyer, a young man with a shark face. Damien saw me. Our gazes met. I saw in his eyes something that surprised me. Fear. He was afraid of me, of his own mother. Jasmine shot me a look of pure poison. They called us into the room. The judge was a man of 50 years, salt and pepper hair, serious look. Case 2024-847, Robinson versus Robinson, plus the accumulated lawsuit of Vega versus Robinson. And then it began. What happened in that room that day? What was said? What was revealed? What was destroyed? It changed everything forever. The judge reviewed the files for what seemed like an eternity. The silence in the room was so dense I could hear my own heart beating. "All right," the judge finally said. "We have here 2 lawsuits against Mr. Damien Robinson. The first from his mother, Mrs. Stella Robinson, for the recovery of a loan of $200,000, plus bank debt of $75,000 where she appears as cosigner, plus damages. The second from Mr. Ernest Vega for fraudulent liquidation of partnership for $80,000. Both lawsuits request the seizure of the same asset, the mechanic shop Ram Motors. Is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor," Harrison and Ernest's lawyer responded in unison. "Mr. Robinson, do you wish to contest the lawsuit?" Damien's lawyer stood up. He was a thin man with glasses and a fake smile. "Your Honor, my client acknowledges that there are pending debts, but argues that the plaintiffs are exaggerating the amounts. Furthermore, the mechanic shop is his only source of income. Seizing it would leave him without a livelihood." "I understand," said the judge. "Does your client have documentation that contradicts the claimed amounts? We are preparing. Do you have it or do you not?" "At this moment, no, but—" "Then the amounts are accepted until you prove otherwise. Mrs. Robinson, do you wish to add anything?" Harrison signaled for me to stand up. I got to my feet. My legs were trembling, but my voice came out firm. "Your Honor, I gave my son $200,000 of my life savings without asking him for anything in return because he was my son and I trusted him. He made me sign as a cosigner for a loan without telling me, and when the bank came to collect my son, disappeared. He changed his phone number. He moved without telling me. He blocked me. I had to pay $15,000 from my pension to avoid having my house seized. My son sent fake emails from my account to make me look bad in front of his wife. He tried to have Adult Protective Services declare me mentally incompetent. And meanwhile, he and his wife live in luxury in an elegant house with a truck worth almost $80,000, posting on social media that they are successful through their own effort. My voice broke on the last phrase. "Your Honor." I continued, "I do not want to destroy my son. I only want to recover what is mine, what I worked for during 30 years to be able to live my last years with dignity." I sat down. I felt tears on my cheeks, and I did not care. The judge looked at Damien. "Mr. Robinson, what do you have to say?" Damien stood up. His lawyer whispered something to him, but he ignored him. "Your Honor, everything my mom says is true. I owe her the money. I lied to her. I avoided her. I did terrible things." Jasmine pulled him by the arm, whispering furiously. Damien shook her off, but he was afraid. He continued. "Afraid of not being able to pay, afraid of disappointing my wife, afraid of admitting that I had failed. So I built lies upon lies until everything got out of control." He paused. He looked directly at me. "Mom, I am sorry. I am sorry for everything. I do not expect you to forgive me." But I need you to know that I never stopped loving you. I just stopped being a good son. The silence in the room was absolute. And Mr. Vega, asked the judge. Damien lowered his gaze. I lied to him too. I stole his investment because I needed the money to maintain appearances that I could not afford. Jasmine stood up abruptly. What are you saying? Do not say anything else. Enough, Jasmine, said Damien with exhaustion. Enough lies. The judge banged his gavel. Order in the court. Ma'am, sit down. Jasmine sat down, her face red with fury. Damien's lawyer seemed to want to sink into his chair. Your Honor, said Harrison, standing up. Given the explicit confession of the defendant, we request immediate judgment, total seizure of the mechanic shop, liquidation of the asset, and proportional distribution among the creditors, according to what is owed. The judge reviewed the papers again. Given the explicit confession of the defendant and considering the documentation presented backing the claims, I rule in favor of the plaintiffs. He banged the gavel. Immediate seizure of the mechanic shop, Ram Motors. An appraisal of the asset and subsequent liquidation in public auction is ordered. The proceeds of the sale will be distributed proportionally between Mrs. Stella Robinson and Mr. Ernest Vega, according to the proven debts. If the proceeds of the sale do not cover the totality of the debts, Mr. Robinson must pay the remainder in monthly installments not exceeding 5 years. Another bang of the gavel. Case closed. You may step down. I had won, but I did not feel victory. I felt empty. We left the room. In the hallway, Damien caught up to me. Mom, wait. I stopped. I turned around. Jasmine was coming behind him, furious. Are you happy? She screamed at me. Are you happy destroying your own son, taking away everything he built? What he built with my money. I responded calmly. That was a gift parents help their children. Parents help. Children are grateful. They do not use. They do not abandon. They do not betray. You just want to control our lives. You always wanted to control his life. Jasmine? Damien's voice sounded tired. Stop. What now? You defend her. You just lost everything because of her. No, Jasmine. I lost everything because of you, because I had to keep you happy, because I had to give you the elegant house, the expensive truck, the vacations, because you were never satisfied with what we had. Jasmine went pale. Are you blaming me? I am telling the truth, something that should have happened a long time ago. Perfect. Jasmine took off her wedding ring and threw it at him. Then you do not need to put up with me anymore. When you lose the shop, when you have nothing, do not look for me, because I am not going to be there. She walked away, her heels clicking down the hallway. Damien picked up the ring from the floor. He looked at it. He put it in his pocket. I always knew she would leave if the money ran out, he said with an empty voice. I suppose it is fair. I also left when you stopped being useful. He stood in front of me, so close and yet so far away. Mom, I know it means nothing now, but I am sorry. I am truly sorry. I looked at him. I saw the boy he was. I saw the man he had become. I am sorry too, Damien. I feel like I failed to teach you better. I feel like somehow I failed to raise you with stronger values. No. He shook his head. It was not your fault. You taught me well. I chose to ignore everything you taught me. He turned to leave, but he stopped. The shop is going to be worth about $450,000. After paying the debts of you two, I am going to still owe like $50,000. I am going to pay you back. It is going to take time, but I am going to pay you. I promise. Damien, he turned. I do not want promises anymore. I want facts. When you have the money, pay me. Meanwhile, do not look for me. You have caused enough damage. I saw how his eyes filled with tears. I understand. He walked away, slowly hunched over, as if the weight of the world was on his shoulders. Rhonda hugged me. It is over, Stella. It is over. But it was not over. The process of learning to live with the son I lost was barely beginning. Ernest approached. "Mrs. Robinson, thank you. Thank you for helping me recover what is mine. Thank you as well. Without your testimony, maybe I would not have won." We shook hands, and we left that cold courthouse into the afternoon light. But the true test would not be the trial. It would be everything that came after. What happened when Damien really lost everything, and what I discovered about myself in the process. The seizure and auction process of the shop took 2 months. 2 months where I knew nothing of Damien. Harrison kept me informed of everything. The official appraisal, $460,000. The auction would take place in 3 weeks. Several buyers had already shown interest. "It is a prime location," Harrison explained. "It is going to sell fast and at a good price." I nodded, but a part of me continued hurting. It was my son, his business, his dream. But it was also my retirement, my future, my dignity. One afternoon, 2 weeks before the auction, Rhonda arrived agitated at my house. "Stella, you have to see this." She showed me her phone. It was Jasmine's Facebook profile. There was a new post. "When people show their true face, be grateful for the lesson and move on. Sometimes family is the most toxic. I freed myself from a manipulative marriage and a controlling mother-in-law. New life, new me. Divorced, freedom, new beginnings." Divorced. So it was official. Jasmine had left Damien. I checked more posts. There were photos of her in a restaurant with a new man. "New chapter, better decisions," said the caption. I did not feel satisfaction, only sadness. Jasmine had been part of the problem, yes, but Damien had made his own decisions. The week of the auction, I received an unexpected call. "Mrs. Robinson, this is Danielle from Mr. Harrison's office. There is a man in the office who wants to speak with you. He says it is important." "Who is it?" "He prefers to tell you in person. Can you come?" I went. Waiting for me in the office was a man of about 40 years dressed in work clothes. "Mrs. Robinson, my name is Arthur Chavez. I am a mechanic. I used to work at your son's shop." I sat in front of him. "What do you need?" "You see, I found out about the auction. When Damien told us he was going to lose the shop, all of us employees got together. We are 5 mechanics who have been there for years. It is our livelihood. I am sorry," I said sincerely, "but I have no choice." "I understand, ma'am. Believe me, I understand, but I come to propose something to you. The 5 of us pooled our savings. Together we have $150,000. If you give us time, we could gather more. We would like to buy the shop in the auction and keep operating it. It would be a worker cooperative." I stayed silent, surprised. "It is a good area," Arthur continued. "We have loyal clientele. The business is profitable. We just need it to be ours without Damien, without debts." "The auction is open," I explained. "I cannot decide who buys." "I know, but we thought if you could make a reasonable offer in the auction, win it, and then sell it to us in payments, it would be good for everyone. You would recover your money guaranteed, and we would keep our jobs." I looked at Harrison. "Is that legal?" "Totally. You can participate in the auction like any buyer. And afterwards you can sell the asset to whomever you want. And Mr. Vega? He gets paid his part of the proceeds of the auction immediately. The rest would be for you. And if you decide to finance the sale to these gentlemen, it is your decision." I thought, these men were not at fault. They were honest workers trapped in Damien's disaster. "How much could you pay monthly?" Arthur took out some papers. "We ran the numbers. If we buy the shop for $450,000 and you already have your share from the auction, we would pay you the rest in, let's say, $8,000 a month for 5 years. I did the mental calculation. $8,000 for 60 months was $480,000, more than what the shop cost. Why pay more? Fair interest, and because it is our opportunity to own something. Let me think about it. The day of the auction arrived quickly. It took place in a room at the courthouse. There were 4 potential buyers besides me. The starting price, $450,000. The offers started to rise. 460, 470, 500,000. At 520,000, only 2 of us remained, me and a man in a suit who was clearly an investor. 550,000, I offered. The man looked at me evaluating. He raised his offer. 560. 575,000, I said firmly. The man shook his head and withdrew. Sold to Mrs. Stella Robinson for $575,000. The hammer fell. The shop was mine. The payment and transfer process took a week. From the amount of $575,000, $80,000 went to Ernest Vega for his debt. $200,000 went to me for the original loan. $75,000 went to me for the bank debt. Roughly $100,000 went to me as interest and compensation. The remaining amount covered legal expenses, auction taxes, and other costs of the process. In the end, I recovered my full money plus compensation for the damage. Perfect mathematical justice. A week later, I signed a purchase agreement with the 5 mechanics. I sold them the shop for $480,000 payable in 5 years at $8,000 monthly. Now I had a guaranteed fixed income of $8,000 every month for 5 years. It was more than my pension. It was security. It was dignity. The first payment arrived promptly on September 15th. Arthur came personally to bring the check. Mrs. Robinson, you do not know how much we thank you. We are going to take care of that shop as if it were our child. It is your child, I smiled. Now it belongs to you. That night I sat in my living room with hot tea looking at the old photos. I no longer cried seeing them. I only felt a quiet melancholy. I took the compensation money I had received and decided to do something I had never done live. I booked a small trip. Nothing luxurious. A week in Sedona, Arizona, a place Robert and I always wanted to visit but never could. It was my first trip alone in 30 years. I walked through the red rocks, ate local fry bread, visited the energy vortexes. Looking at the valley from the top, I felt something I had not felt in years. Peace. You did it, Robert, I whispered to the wind. I defended myself just like you asked. I also used part of that money to help Rhonda with a hip operation she needed. She cried when I gave her the check. I cannot accept this, Stella. Of course you can. You were with me when nobody else was. This is just a small part of what you mean to me. With another chunk of money, I created a small aid fund in my neighborhood for single mothers or abandoned elderly women. Every month, Rhonda and I gave between $1,000 and $2,000 to a family in need. It was not much, but it was something, and the rest I saved for emergencies, to never be vulnerable again. But something was missing. Closure with Damien was missing, and when it arrived, it was in a way I never expected. 6 months after the auction, it was an ordinary day. February again, 1 exact year since this nightmare began. I was watering my plants on the patio when my phone vibrated. Unknown number. I hesitated, but I answered. Mom. It was Damien. His voice sounded different, smaller, broken. It is me. Long silence. How are you? Asked finally. Good, and you on surviving. I am working at a shop here in the city, just as a mechanic, not as an owner. The owner is good people. He pays me $2,000 a month. I rent a room in a boarding house. $2,000 a month. The same he earned before having the shop. And Jasmine, she married the guy she was seeing. I saw the photos on Facebook. They look happy. I am sorry. I am not. Now I understand that she never loved me. She only wanted what I could give her. When I could not give her more, she left, just like I did to you. Long silence. Mom, I am calling because I want to apologize for real, not like in court. This is not because I want something. It is because I have had a lot of time to think to understand what I did to live the consequences. And what did you understand? That I was a terrible son, that I used you, that I betrayed you, that I preferred to impress a woman who never loved me instead of taking care of the only person who loved me unconditionally all my life. I felt a lump in my throat. I also understood, he continued, why you did it, why you sued me. It was not revenge, it was survival, it was dignity. It was teaching me a lesson that I never learned the easy way. Damien, let me finish, please. I need to say this. I have been rehearsing it for months. I waited. I destroyed your life, Mom, and mine too, but the difference is that you had the right to defend yourself, and you did. And now I live with what I deserve. Nothing. No business, no wife, no luxuries, just a small room, an honest job, and the consequences of my decisions. You do not deserve nothing, I said with a soft voice. You deserve to learn, and it seems like you are learning. You think, I do not know Damien. Time will tell. Silence. Mom, will you be able to forgive me someday? I closed my eyes. That question was the hardest one. I do not know, maybe, but not today. It still hurts a lot. I understand. I just wanted you to know that I am working to be better, to be the son I should have been from the beginning. I am glad to hear that. Could I call you from time to time just so you know I am okay? I do not expect you to answer always. I do not want you to think I disappeared again. I thought carefully about my answer. You can call, once a month, no more. And in those calls, I only want to know that you are working honestly and living with integrity. I do not want drama. I do not want to be asked for help. Understood. Understood. Damien. Yes, I am glad you are working. I am glad you are paying your consequences. But above all, I am glad you finally understand what you did. Me too, Mom. I love you, even if I do not have the right to say it. I love you too, although not in the same way anymore. We hung up. I stayed on the patio with the phone in my hand processing. I had not forgiven. I was not sure if I ever would. But at least now there was honesty. There were no more masks. 3 weeks later, an envelope arrived at my door. Inside was $200 in cash and a handwritten note. Mom, I know I still owe you money. This is the first payment. It is going to take a long time. But I am going to fulfill it. It is not the money. It is the promise. With love, Damien. I saved the money. I saved the note. Every month for the next 30 months, an envelope arrived. Sometimes the note said, Month 8, moving forward. Others, Month 15. Thanks for giving me time. Or simply, Month 22. I love you, Mom. I did not answer the envelopes, but I did not reject them either. In Month 18, Damien called me. Mom, I met someone. Her name is Patty. She is a teacher, simple, hard-working. I told her everything I did, what I did to you, and she did not leave. She said we all deserve second chances. I am happy for you, I said sincerely, but this time take care of her for real, not with money, with respect. I will, I promise. In month 30, the last envelope arrived. Inside was the money and a photo. It was Damien and Patty together. She looked kind, with a genuine smile. He looked calm. He no longer had that tension in his shoulders he always carried when he was with Jasmine. The note said, Mom, this is the last payment. Debt settled. But there is another debt that I will never be able to pay completely. The damage I did to you. I just want you to know that the man who did those things does not exist anymore. I have changed. Not because I lost everything, but because I finally understood what matters. Patty and I are getting married in June. It would be the honor of my life if you came. But I will understand if you do not want to. I love you. I will always love you. Your son, Damien. I looked at that photo for a long while, and then I called Rhonda. Rhonda, I need a new dress. I am going to a wedding. The wedding was small, in a public garden in the city, only 30 guests. When I arrived, Damien saw me and his eyes filled with tears. You came. I came, I confirmed. But not for you, for me, because I needed to close this chapter. Patty approached. She was even prettier in person. Simple, without excessive makeup, with kind eyes. Mrs. Robinson, it is an honor to meet you. Damien has told me everything, and I want you to know that I will never let him forget the value of family. Never. I hugged her. Take care of him, but take care of yourself too. Do not lose yourself in him. I promise. The ceremony was simple, beautiful. When the judge asked if anyone opposed the marriage, there was total silence. This time, Damien had chosen well. At the small reception, Damien approached me. Mom, can we talk a moment? We walked toward a corner of the garden. I want you to know something, he said. Everything I lost, the shop, the money, the status, was the best thing that happened to me. Because losing all that, I found myself. I found what truly matters. And what is that? Living honestly, valuing the right people, and understanding that real wealth is not in what you have, but in who you are. I nodded. You learned the lesson then. The most expensive lesson of my life, but the most important. Damien, I am not going to forget what happened, but I am willing to try to build something new, not like before, something different, with clear boundaries, with mutual respect. Boundaries. Yes, you will never ask me for money again. You will never involve me in your financial decisions. And if you disrespect me, I will disappear from your life without hesitation. Understood. Understood. But within those boundaries, can we try to be mother and son again, little by little? A sob escaped him. Thank you, Mom. I do not deserve this opportunity, but I swear I'm not going to waste it. I hugged him. For the first time in almost 2 years, I hugged my son. It was not the same hug as before. It was more careful, more conscious. But it was a hug, and sometimes that is enough. 3 years have passed since everything started. 3 years since that call from the bank that changed my life forever. I'm sitting in my living room, the same one where I cried every night years ago. But now it is different. There are new plants in the windows, new photos on the walls, and a peace I had not felt in decades. The monthly payments from the shop keep arriving punctually. Arthur and his partners turned the business into something prosperous. They even opened a second location last year. All thanks to you, Ms. Stella. Arthur told me on his last visit, without your trust, we would still be just employees. Without your effort, the shop would be worth nothing, I responded. You guys did the work. I just gave you the opportunity. I use part of that income to live comfortably. I no longer count pennies. I no longer worry about medicine. I can buy the bread I like without feeling guilt. Another part I continue investing in the community aid fund. In 3 years, we have helped 14 families, single mothers, forgotten seniors, people who just needed a chance. Rhonda and I became volunteers at the community center. We give talks about family financial abuse. It is surprising how many people live in situations similar to mine. I thought I was the only one, a 70-year-old lady told me last week. I thought it was my obligation to endure. It is not an obligation, I answered her. It is a decision, and we can decide differently. Damien calls me every Sunday. He visits once a month. He always brings something small. Sweet bread, flowers, a new photo. Patty is pregnant. They are going to have a girl. They are going to name her Stella. You do not have to do that, I told him when they told me. But we want to, insisted Patty. We want our daughter to carry the name of a strong woman, of a woman who knew how to defend herself, so she learns to do it too. And I was left speechless. Being a grandmother again scares me. But it also excites me. This time with boundaries, with clarity, without becoming an ATM machine or a savior. Ernest Vega became my friend. We have coffee every 2 weeks. We share stories of how our children taught us the hardest lessons. But we learned, he always says. And now, we are stronger. Robert is still in his photo in the living room. Sometimes I talk to him like before. I did it, my love. I defended myself. I set boundaries. I found my strength. And I swear his smile in the photo looks brighter. Yesterday, while organizing the closet, I found Damien's old album, the photos from when he was a boy. I looked at them without crying, only with soft nostalgia. That boy got lost somewhere along the way, but the man he became is trying to find himself, and that is enough. I closed the album and put it on the top shelf. The past is there. I accept it, but I no longer live in it. Life taught me something crucial in these years. Loving your children does not mean sacrificing yourself for them. It means teaching them to be people of integrity. And sometimes the best teaching is letting them face the consequences of their actions. I also learned that forgiving does not mean forgetting. It means letting go of the poison, letting go of the resentment that sickens your soul, but keeping the memory that protects you from repeating mistakes. And the most important lesson, your worth does not depend on how much you give, but on how much you respect who you are. For years, I was the mother who gave everything without expecting anything. And I thought that made me a good mother. Now I know that made me a vulnerable mother, a used mother, an exhausted mother. The good mother is not the one who lets herself be destroyed. She is the one who teaches boundaries with love, the one who says no when it is necessary, the one who defends herself, showing her children that defending oneself is not selfishness, it is dignity. This morning, before writing this last part of my story, I went out to the patio with my coffee. The sun was just coming up. The sky had that pink color I like so much, and I felt grateful. Grateful for the pain that taught me, for the betrayal that strengthened me, for the loss that set me free. Because in the end, I did not lose a son, I gained a life. My life, complete, free, dignified. And that, after all, is the only thing that really matters. Final message. If this story touched your heart, if you saw yourself reflected in my words, or if you know someone who is living something similar, leave me a comment telling me where you are watching us from and what impacted you most about this story. Hit like if you believe that self-love is not selfishness, but survival. And subscribe to the channel to keep listening to real-life stories of real women who learn to defend themselves. Because true wealth is not in what you possess. It is in what you do not allow them to take away. Your dignity, your peace, your worth, and that no one can snatch from you. Unless you let them. The end.